everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Fourtress of, a podcast about movies and video games and TV shows and lots of pop culture nerd things. My name is Oscar. I'll be one of your hosts, and with me, per usual, are two out of the three other hosts, Brian and Alex.
Hey, I got first, boys. Let's go.
Yo, what's up?
Yeah. Devin's not here again. He fell off that mountain. That mountain just keeps beating him up, man.
It's
I
steep.
don't know what to tell you.
It's a steep climb. I get it.
He's like what's that guy from Greek mythology who keeps rolling the boulder up the hill and then it just keeps falling down on him? That's Devin right now.
Confirmed. He will be in the next God of War, by the way.
All right. How you guys doing? Feeling good?
I'm doing solid.
Feeling
Very
fresh?
Solid.
I don't feel refreshed.
Alex just woke up from a nap.
Yeah, I was
behind
say this man woke up
listeners.
from a nap. He's living his best life.
I had a very long cat nap today. Recovering.
Feeling good.
Take a nap, everybody, if you need it.
Yeah.
I like that Alex is turning into the mental health guy. You're the one that just makes sure we're just keeping up with our naps, making sure we're doing well, we're eating well.
Yeah, forget Dr.
Right.
Phil. Just tune into the Fourtress of to listen to me.
Please forget Dr. Phil. Everyone should forget Dr. Phil always. No, I'm doing great. I'm doing okay. Maybe not great. I'm doing okay. This week was kind of rough. Work sucked, but we're here.
Oh, we'll try to make that a little better. All right, then let's move on to our first segment of the show, which we like to call
News Talk. Let's get it.
All right, first piece of news of the week. It's a big one. You guys can already probably know what it is.
Oh boy.
Sora's in Smash. We were all completely wrong when we took our guesses the other week.
I did not see this
Sora.
coming at all.
Phoenix Wright should have been the last one. I'm gonna be honest with you. It's fine.
Yeah.
It's fine. I'm okay.
I'm honestly, I don't think I could be happier, personally.
I'm so pumped. After it happened, I was like, that was the most blatantly obvious choice that they could have made. I was like, oh my God, how did no one think of? I guess that like people did because there was like a rumor also. But like none of us guessed it. It was so weird.
I don't know how I could have even guessed it because I didn't realize until afterwards that they're announcing Kingdom Hearts coming to Switch. Did that get announced before Sora?
No, they announced that in the same little conference that they did. So Nintendo did a little reveal of the character, and then off the cuff, they also announced that the entire Kingdom Hearts saga, I guess you could say, is coming to Switch using their cloud gaming. So I don't know how that's gonna run, or I don't know much about how their cloud gaming, how good it
Cloud
is.
gaming,
Yeah, so
like Final Fantasy VII. Isn't he already in that game?
He's in that game, so that's pretty weird. They should have called it Sephiroth Gaming. Anyways, yeah. So Sora was revealed as the final Smash character. And that trailer made me cry, and it looks so good, and it's pretty awesome.
I love some Kingdom Hearts music so much. It is one of the most emotionally invoking soundtracks of probably
it really is
my lifetime. And I don't even have a Switch. I don't even have this game.
Nope.
And I'm still about to cry over a trailer that has nothing to do with me in any way, shape, or form.
I know.
I'm fucking pumped. I think now is like the best time to own a Switch. I'm so glad that I have one, and I encourage everybody to get one.
Are you going to buy Sora?
I think so, yeah. I have famously never bought any DLC. There's a few games that I got, years after they came out that have like DLC bundles, like the Dragon Ball Z new game, Kakarot. But I never really paid for or thought it was cool to pay for any DLC. It just feels like a ripoff to me.
Any DLC, period.
Ever.
Not even just like this game. You just mean in general, you don't buy DLC.
Yeah. I just think it's kind of like a fucked up policy, personally. To like, I already spent $60 on a game. Why would I pay more money to play? I don't know. Like there's
mathematically, a lot of DLC doesn't make sense because like sometimes you'll get DLC that is only 2 hours, but it's still like $30, and it's like
just a ripoff.
I paid $60 for the game, and the game wasn't 4 hours. It was like a big game, so it's weird.
I love that take. I think it's something we probably should talk about in a little bit deeper eventually, because I do think
I'm down for that.
Thing about the way that video games and monetizing after your your set paid price and how it works.
Right.
Just put it all in the base game. Is how I feel. Just put it all in the same game.
Boom. Heard it here first, folks.
Just like fixing games and patches. Just give me the full game for the full price at the beginning. Even with all the Smash Bros characters, I've been like upset that they're making you pay for all these characters. Like, I'm not gonna waste my money. I mean, I would like to, but I'm cheap and I don't want to. But now with Sora, they're really tugging on my heartstrings. So
That's a tough one.
Yeah.
That's a tough one.
I'm gonna have to do it. I'm gonna break the bank.
I'm gonna be a Sora main. I'm telling you, we putting down Pikachu. We're picking up Sora.
Oh boy,
from now on. This is the first. I've been playing Pikachu since N64.
Wow,
it's time.
I mean, he's got the. It looks like the down B is probably the same. The Thunderbolt.
Let's go.
So it's basically.
If you saw his jumps, his recovery is ridiculous.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, it seems like he can recover from anything.
I love his little Peter Pan dash move too.
Yes,
Oh, yeah.
like I have a feeling there's gonna be a lot of Soras going.
He's gonna be banned in the tournaments pretty quickly. He's gonna be overpowered like Bayonetta. I'm sure.
You think? Yeah.
I'm wondering what his regular B move is gonna be. I see he's got the Fireball, which is probably the side B.
No, B is just his magic. It alternates between fire, thunder, and ice.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So if you could technically just mash B and he'll go through all 3 spells.
Oh, sick. That's exciting.
They probably did that so that you can't just mash thunder over and over again, technically.
What I would do.
Okay, so I wonder what what side
B
B and down B are going to be then. That's cool. That sounds like he's got even more moves than other players. That's dope.
He's got a lot.
Sword characters, man.
He's got a lot of cool costumes. Yeah.
Oh yeah, he probably has some dope ass costumes. I didn't watch the whole thing.
Oh yeah, he's got the cartoon.
Yeah, he's got the one from Kingdom Hearts 2 where they go into the old school Mickey world.
No, I don't
black
want
and
that
white.
No, that
he's got
cool.
that, and then the other ones he's got his Kingdom Hearts 1, 2, and 3 looks, and then from Kingdom Hearts 2 he's got the 3 different looks, like the Valor, the all red and
version and blue version.
So you're telling me he does not have the Nightmare Before Christmas skin?
No,
and
so we'll talk about that right now. It's because they put basically 0 aspects of Disney in his character. You notice there's no Donald, there's no Goofy. The only Disney thing about Sora is they showed that little Mickey Mouse emblem when they first showed him in the reveal trailer.
Yeah.
Other than that, he could be from anything ever.
It's so funny because they literally showed a backdrop, like of the character when they were showing off the character. There was a backdrop that was it was known as the area that had like Sora's face and like Rox's face and then Donald and Goofy. And they replaced Donald and Goofy with inanimate objects in the background.
Wow.
So he's like a bowl of fruit and fucking a piece of paper or something where Donald and Goofy were supposed to be. So we know that those talks to get this character in the game were probably
rough.
Excruciating. Oh, yeah. I can't imagine. Like,
yeah, I wonder how they got that going. That seems pretty difficult, but they did it.
Money.
Yeah. I'm assuming that's why it took them so long to get him at this point. I would love to have been in that room.
There's a lot of people. There's a lot of characters on there. Obviously, most of them are Nintendo IPs, but like Solid Snake is a character that's only been in like a couple of he's in GameCube. But he's famously a PlayStation IP, similar to Sora. Yeah. But Sora hasn't. I guess he was in like one Game Boy game.
He was. Chain of Memories was on Game Boy.
Yeah, Game Boy Advance. Yeah.
So there's some relationship there.
He seems like a weird pick, but I still love it.
Yeah, I know. I love it.
I mean, it's one of those things that were kind of PS2 exclusive and then just kind of branched out. I mean, Kingdom Hearts 3 came out on Xbox, PC.
Right.
Right.
And the cool thing, they also talked about how like way back when, I think even when Melee came out, they put a poll of characters that people wanted to see. And Sora, they just talked about it now, Sora was the overwhelming #1 pick.
Wow.
And they talked about how like they didn't reveal what voters had picked because the internet would like start berating all these companies to do it. And
that's smart.
Exactly. So they're like, so we're sorry we kept it under wraps, but yeah, that's why.
That's fair.
Cool.
It's cool. Dope trailer. And that's Smash. I hope they release a super version of Smash with all of the characters already in it.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, like an ultimate version, I guess.
Yeah, that'll be $100.
Oh, don't say that, please. Oh gosh.
All right, moving on. We got our first little teaser of House of the Dragon, a Game of Thrones spinoff taking place years in the past, all about the Targaryens and their weird incest family.
How do you guys feel? Are you guys excited about this? I guess
I'm
Brian
excited.
hates it.
I'm excited just because I'm excited to get back to that world.
I'm excited.
Even though I think Matt Smith, the main guy that you see, looks really fucking weird with that wig.
You think so?
I think Matt Smith just has a weird face, though.
I think that's, I didn't have an issue with it because of just knowing the whole Targaryen line and stuff like that. And then also I feel like...
I mean, I guess if they're all weird incest babies, they all should look weird.
I mean, homeboy, Daenerys' brother looked kind of weird to me too the whole time. And I was like, okay. So I don't hate it. That wasn't the most jarring part about it for me by any means.
For sure.
I'm excited, but cautiously, I suppose. Cautiously optimistic.
That's justified. I'm excited as well, but I think cautiously excited is a good way of putting it. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm excited to see new characters and the same-ish settings, obviously, but just like see how it all went down. So
Yeah, it's like Star Wars.
That's kind of true. I'm glad that it's very, very separated from like the completely different characters, not like a spinoff.
It's not
of
like a Tyrion spinoff.
Yeah, that would not feel right.
Or like a Arya spinoff.
Yeah, it's another thing of just like, even if the main storyline isn't what I love, the same way with Star Wars, it's still a world that has really deep, enriching lore that I'm excited to explore more of that, regardless of kind of what it is.
And in theory, it means we're getting dragons, like a lot more dragon shit in this. Though
we didn't see any in the damn trailer, I was pissed. They're making us wait, I guess.
It's coming out next year, so
they didn't want to spend the money yet.
Yeah. Right, they're still working on that CG.
That trailer was I'm excited to see it, but the trailer was really uninteresting personally. It was just like a bunch of people standing around, a little bit of flames.
We're Targaryens. Yes, we are.
Right.
And that's it.
They could have just had the title screen and that's it, and it would have had the same effect for me.
I do wonder, because like obviously when Game of Thrones was ending, like in a weird way, the whole world was rooting for incest in a weird way. With spoilers for Game of Thrones if you hadn't seen that phenomenon on the show.
A lot of cousins and brothers and sisters fuck each other. That's Game of Thrones.
So it's weird that people were rooting for that by the end, and so I wonder if this whole show is people gonna be rooting for that again in some way. Because like they're gonna have sex in this show. Like that's one of the staples of Game of Thrones. Like that happened. And they're all going to be related in this one, so it's going to be kind of weird, I feel.
Sweet home Alabama.
I think it's also a requirement of HBO contracts. If you want to be on HBO, you got to have sex. A lot.
All right, next, more GTA news. They're re-releasing the trilogy of GTA PS2 games, which were 3, Grand Theft Auto 3, Grand Theft Auto Vice City, and Grand Theft Auto San Andreas. They're calling it the Definitive Edition. I just hope that it's actually a definitive edition and it's not like a really gross port and whatever. So I actually hope they take actual quality into it and it's not, just like a money grab.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like they have to. I feel like we've already had ports to all the newer systems, PC, all that kind of stuff. I know because
I feel like I've seen all those games on the PlayStation Network already.
I was about to say, I have them all.
They are.
So I hope they do more than I feel like they have to, but also they say it's coming out this year, which it's October. So we don't have many more months of this year. We also haven't seen a little bit of what the games look like at all. I don't know if that's supposed to be part of the surprise. Like, hello, surprise, this game looks awesome. Or, hello, surprise, PlayStation 2 graphics still.
Probably PlayStation 2 graphics still.
I really hope not. Because I would really be excited to play this game in like not just an HD version of PS2 graphics, but like actually looking like me and Oscar were talking off air about it potentially like being off the GTA 5 engine. Like, that'd be dope. I'd love to play the games in that space.
It's right there for them.
And I love these games. Like, these are some of the pinnacle of games that I really enjoyed in my time.
I'll actually go back and finish 3. I still never played 3.
You never beat 3? Oh, you never played
3? Or
3?
never beat it. Beat it. Sorry. No, I played 3. I never beat it. I never got off the first island.
Oh, yeah. That's funny. Oh, man, you got to cheat so you can just fucking drive over it.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I did that. I flew in that tank using cheat codes. It was great. Yeah, like if this comes out and it looks good and it's like a proper, pretty decent remaster, I might pick it up. We'll see.
Also, Rockstar. Is Rockstar making this, or is it a separate third-party company?
No, I think it's Rockstar still. Yeah.
Well, Rockstar, if you're listening, please.
And we know you are.
We know you are. Don't make this game any more than $40. If you make it more than $40, you are a cuck, and I don't like you anymore. I just want to put it out there. There's no harm, no foul. But if you make it more than $40, fuck you.
Here's what they're gonna do, Brian. They're gonna make it $40, but they're gonna put DLC for you to use all the cheat codes for $20.
You say you can't use cheat codes? Listen.
Yeah, DLC for cheat codes.
DLC cheat codes.
You gotta pay. Yeah.
The listeners can't see me, but I'm about to have a temper tantrum right now. I am punching air. This is ridiculous.
No.
But also, that would be so very 2021 of a video.
Yeah,
It really would. It really sadly would.
Or a big thing in those games is like changing your appearance and haircuts and stuff, especially San Andreas. That'll be DLC too. Yeah.
It's all like NBA 2K.
DLC skins.
Yeah. Oh.
Fortnite style skins.
I'm worried now.
You've really hurt my feelings, and I don't want to play anymore. I take it back. We don't want this game anymore.
I should stop talking about it. I'm giving them too many ideas.
Yeah.
They said we got 3 more months to make this game. Yeah. What do you say?
Yeah. How much could we charge for it? Really? You think like $3 a haircut?
I don't know, man. Unless it's like a crazy different for a haircut. Fuck. Yeah, I just think that if it's any game that's nostalgia based like this, Sonic does a good job about that. It should be $40. 60 is too much.
Yeah, I get that it would be 3 games, but it's 3 incredibly old games. Come on.
GTA 3 came out in 2001, bro. It's 2021. That's
right.
20
Also,
years.
because they're apparently releasing or taking them off of all digital storefronts as well.
Really?
Before this comes out. Yeah.
Wow. So you can never play the old versions again if you don't have them already?
I suppose so. I already deleted the article and I made a mistake.
I mean, that makes sense as a company.
Does it? I mean, that's like deleting Final Fantasy VII to me, in my opinion. Maybe not. That's a bad analogy, but I don't know. That just feels weird.
That's a different game. I would feel like the remake is a different game than the old one.
So the existing versions of all 3 games will be removed from digital storefronts next week.
Well, you know who also did that was Blizzard with Warcraft 3, and that went terribly.
Yeah, but they're a piece of shit company.
When they remade Warcraft 3, which was mainly just a graphical upgrade, and they changed some, whatever, but it wasn't like Final Fantasy VII by any means. They deleted the old World of Warcraft 3, and you can never play it again. And it updated anybody that had old World of Warcraft 3, Warcraft 3, to the new Warcraft 3, and you couldn't play it anymore. And people were pissed, and that game did awfully because of it. So, Rockstar, once again, if you're listening, don't do that.
That's an MMO though, right?
Well, this was a real-time strategy game, Warcraft 3.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
I feel like they can get away with this one just because, like those games, it's not like an ongoing thing that you could play forever. Like I guess you could, but once the story ends,
I don't know. Like Metal Gear Solid, they have Twin Snakes, and they have the first Metal Gear Solid. That didn't replace the old Metal Gear Solid 1. Like, you can still play that PlayStation 1 game. I just don't see the point. You can still play old Resident Evil 2, even though new Resident Evil 2 came out. I don't know that I like
that's true.
that personally.
Yeah.
Some people like playing older games. I mean, that's just retro gaming is a huge space. I don't know.
Yeah, definitely. I don't know. We'll see when they actually release something from this fucking game instead of a bullshit teaser, whatever. All right. Next, Dragon Ball Super, fucking this title. Dragon Ball Superhero got a teaser trailer, and people have some feelings. Brian, how do you feel about it?
Yeah, so it came. New York Comic Con is
it's happening right now.
It's happening. I don't want to date us, but it exists.
I saw some people dressed up in the city. I was like, "What's going on?"
Oh shit! Yeah, that's right. Y'all are all literally.
I'm old as hell. I don't know what's going on. And if it weren't for this news segment, I would be so lost.
Yes, New York Comic Con is currently going on right now, and 2 of these people out of the 3 are literally in New York. Fucking Jesus.
I just imagine Alex saw some people and it's like, that's New York. It's just a normal day.
That seems about like New York, to be fair.
It could happen any day.
Oh, cool. Some LARPers. Okay.
But yes, New York Comic Con is in town, and then they showed the teaser trailer there. I'd already seen a lot of stuff from this personally. One of the big things about it, Dragon Ball Super Broly was a big movie that happened, a couple years ago at this point, that did really well in the box office. One of the highest grossing anime movies of all time. And now they're making another one, Dragon Ball Superhero. This time they're using a lot of CGI, which has people a little bit split. They use CGI in a lot of anime these days because it's just easier than drawing characters, especially when you're doing 3-dimensional stuff. A lot of, very technical things happening.
It's cheaper and quicker.
Yeah, cheaper and quicker, absolutely. And people don't get paid, so you got to do the best you can. And it looks a little weird. People have a lot of weird issues about it. It looks a lot like Dragon Ball's Fighter Z or Fighters.
I definitely thought it was jarring when I first started watching that trailer. Yeah. I settled into it a bit, but at first I was like, oh, this is something not right about this.
Yeah, it's the first movie I've seen where they're like going all the way, where everything looks like it's going to be CG, and they're not going to do any actual like drawing like normal.
It also gave me really big Great Saiyaman vibes, which I wasn't like a biggest fan of his.
Oh yeah, that's the worst arc of Gohan. That was when Gohan was shit poopy, and we didn't like him.
though like shortly afterwards, when he like loses the outfit, but still has like the like some of the resemblance of his costume, but like goes Super Saiyan, like OP. Yeah, yes, please. But the fucking helmet and stuff.
Ultimate Gohan was dope, but we won't get into how Gohan got nerfed and sucks because
that's a different conversation.
Hates us all. Yeah, I mean, the movie doesn't look like anything special yet. It's not like Broly where it has like nostalgia factor because these characters are all brand new. It's about Gamma 1 and Gamma 2. I don't know if they're going to be villains, if they're going to fight alongside Goku. If it's going to be like an anti-hero
Yeah,
thing.
we know Goku and Piccolo are in it. We see the two of them.
And that's all we really saw. We also saw Pan. We see Pan charging up. That is Gohan's daughter.
She about to go Super
Goku's
Saiyan.
granddaughter. She's known for being in Dragon Ball GT. She has a debut in that, but she doesn't really show up outside of being a baby in Dragon Ball Z. And she's in Dragon Ball Super as a baby again. So maybe she'll go Super Saiyan. That'd be pretty cool. But
looks like it.
They're gonna Super Saiyan a baby.
Yeah, Super Saiyan baby. Maybe.
That's pretty awesome.
She's Super Saiyan toddler. But we'll see what happens with this movie. I'm not nearly excited about it as I was about Broly, but I love Dragon Ball, if anyone knows me. So.
It's because it's got a horrible, horrible name that I'm assuming it's because it's got a weird translation issue.
It's gotta be. It's gotta be, dude. Toriyama can't draw. I don't know.
Or I feel like it's like leaning into the superhero that Great Saiyaman was. I don't think he called himself a superhero, but he was a superhero. And this feels like
it's just weird having
there's
super
one or two
right
superheroes.
next to it.
Yeah. It's weird, but
superhero.
There's a colon. There's a colon that's missing.
It's the same energy as Super Saiyan God Super Saiyan, which is like, this is getting pretty redundant, guys. Maybe we need to leave some of these words out of here.
I'm waiting for Dragon Ball Super Duper.
Yeah,
right.
That's what I'm waiting for. But yeah, I'm excited. I might be one of the only ones. I'm also a big Dragon Ball fan, so.
Brian's the biggest one here, and so Brian will probably let us know how it goes.
I'll post it literally right there, Dragon Ball Super.
Respect.
All right, final piece of news. We're gonna spoil a bit of Venom 2, listeners. So if you haven't seen it and or want to see it or don't want to know anything about that movie whatsoever, look at the time codes and skip to after this because we're gonna spoil the mid-credit scene. So here we go. So we were all the rumors were right. Tom Hardy wearing that Spider-Man Far From Home or No Way Home hat was right. Venom is in the MCU now.
Oh, okay.
In the mid-credit scene, it's Eddie and Venom in a hotel room, and Venom saying some shit about symbiotes have lived for like thousands of years. You couldn't comprehend 1% of what we know. It would blow your brain up, basically. And then a weird shift starts to happen. A weird multiversal shift starts to happen, and then all of a sudden they're in a different nice hotel room. And then you can overhear J.K. Simmons, J. Jonah Jameson on the TV in the hotel room talking about Peter Parker's Spider-Man when he outs him at the end of the last Spider-Man movie. And it shows Tom Holland as Spider-Man on the TV. And Venom says, that guy, and he licks the TV screen in a weird way. Yeah, it's real weird.
Very Venom.
Yeah, there you go. I'm assuming he is now going to be in Spider-Man No Way Home. So
hell yeah.
Yeah, everyone was right, basically. He's going to be in it.
We made fun of that hat, but that hat was real.
That hat was the truth.
Was not lying.
Yeah,
that's cool.
There we go.
I don't know if I was going to see that movie, and now I probably definitely won't.
Venom 2?
That's the only piece of information that I needed, I feel like. So
pretty much, yeah. I still haven't seen the first one.
Yeah, I got to watch both of them.
I was talking to Oscar about that. I've seen the first one. It wasn't very good. I think it got a little bit too much flack. It was a little messy, but I think...
Also, we realized it's 2 hours and 20 minutes long.
It's a very long movie for no reason.
Oh my God.
I think that's the worst part about it. It gets boring. But yeah, it's not really worth watching. And hopefully the second one has learned from those mistakes.
Well, it's learned from the time discrepancy, at least. It's only an hour and a half.
I mean, Tom Hardy put that movie on his back, and he wasn't even good in it. So,
damn.
All right, end of spoilers. That's the end of the news, everyone. Let's move on.
Woohoo! Devin, are you out there?
Oh, hey, Devin. I'm glad to see that that fall is still not keeping you fully down, buddy. All right, you want to hang out for like 40 minutes? All right, guys. It's about that time again for us to move into our main topic of the week. But guys, we did it again. We're in another fortress.
Oh no!
But this fortress, it's another one. It's got a lot of interesting things in it, and a lot of emotions, and also just like a lot of interesting personal stuff about us. So it looks like we're in the fortress of
impactful games.
I haven't drawn such a hard blank before in my life.
Impactful
the
gaming
hesitation.
It's the most impactful games of our lives.
We're here to make you feel bad and sad and stuff.
Yes, listeners. So this week we're gonna do something a little different. We're gonna talk about games that have impacted us in kind of any way that we desire, just because we're all individuals, and so different things affect us in different ways. And so we thought it'd be fun to just kind of explain and express ourselves about how video games impacted our lives in any way whatsoever. So we hope you enjoy.
Getting a little bit deep this week.
A little bit deep,
just a little
at times.
Yeah, we are establishing lore.
Right.
We got
For our characters.
I love it.
When do we get a Wikipedia? Or what are those fandom sites? Those fandom wikis? All right, so yeah, we're gonna do this round robin style, much like our top games one. We're just gonna go one by one, and we're gonna see how far we go. So who would like to go first?
Dun dun dun.
Do we want to do alphabetical order?
I'll go first.
Okay, Alex.
Oh, I guess that's still me. All right,
still you.
So this was a fun topic for me to figure out, and I boiled down to picking two games that kind of hit me the most. They both kind of touch on similar things, but they're very, very drastically different games. The first one that I would love to share is one that I'm sure you guys have all played. It's called Super Smash Brothers.
Super Smash Brothers,
man.
No.
For me, most of the games that I love are story-based games, but this one's very different because there's obviously not much story involved. But for me, it really helped me build so many fond memories and relationships with like real life friends and real people because it's such a multiplayer heavy game. And I haven't played a lot of multiplayer games, but growing up as a kid with a Nintendo 64, you're like, you have to play a lot of those games, couch co-op or multiplayer. Oh, got some sirens.
Cops are here.
The cops.
Yeah.
New York City.
Get them. You like Super Smash Brothers. Get them out of here.
The 64 playing like couch co-op games and plugging on all four controllers. I just have such great memories of like sleepovers and hanging out with neighbors and like all my best friends. And it really transcended all points of my life from elementary school to like middle school, high school, and even in college and meeting and hanging out with you guys. And even now that we all live on different sides of the country, whenever we get back together, one of the things we almost always do is still play Smash Brothers. And it's just a beautiful thing that I've always had in my life and has always helped me build friendships, keep friendships. And for me and maybe a lot of other people out there, I kind of have some kind of social anxiety, I think. It's like maybe self-diagnosed. I just get really uncomfortable sometimes around people, especially new people. I don't know what to say or how to like make conversations sometimes. I get really in my head. I'm like, oh, don't say that. That's going to be stupid. Or I make a joke. I'm like, oh, that wasn't funny. But playing video games with people.
Which is why we chose to do a podcast for millions of people here.
yeah. But I'm really, honestly, I'm just like talking to you, my best friend. So it's all good.
Yeah.
But yeah, playing video games with friends, especially newer friends, or just meeting people is a really great icebreaker for me personally. It helps me get out of my head and more into like comfort zone, I guess. So no other way to make friends than Super Smash Brothers.
I love that you said that. Yeah, I like the part where you talked about it being like an icebreaker for you, and that being such an important thing that I think a lot of people don't realize, especially people that don't play video games. When they talk about dates, like what's a good first date to take someone on? They talk about things like, an activity that you both can do because it gets you engaged. It gets you, you have to talk. There's no awkward silence because you have to play putt-putt together. You know what I mean? That kind of stuff that it engages your brain.
Or you could just leave your date and just get through all the holes. And sorry, you suck.
But that's why it's like dinner and a movie is so...
I'm progressive.
can be so rough because it's like you have to come up, like you have to, you have to be on it. You have to be able to talk. You have to be able to express yourself. And not everyone's super good at that. So it's really cool to be able to like find a place that makes you. And that's why, whenever you go to work or something like that, you work for a new company. They're like, oh, we're going to play a little icebreaker game. You have to play Jeopardy or something stupid.
Right.
It's like those are the
game
worst, but also kind of the best for me because I really need those icebreakers. I'm realizing more and more as I get older that they're actually really helpful for me.
They are. Absolutely.
I think like couch co-op, like you say, like couch co-op is just such an essential part, I think, of video games and what makes them great.
Yeah.
Maybe not an essential part of them now because we've moved away, like, games have moved away from it largely, but I think it's essential to what makes them great and worth playing because
I wish we could go back to that.
Yeah,
I agree.
Like I remember the first time you introduced Overcooked to us, it was such a refreshing thing because it's all of us in the same room playing this crazy, chaotic, like goofy game. And I think Super Smash is like the epitome of that, probably for the entire world. Like probably, it's like a universal language almost. Like you can go anywhere and people are going to know how to play Smash and like have your favorite moves on your favorite characters. So yeah, it's definitely like, that's definitely the epitome of couch co-op and why it's amazing.
Yeah, man.
Love it.
That's a great pick. Because, like with the whole icebreaker scenario, you can easily just start a conversation with what's your favorite character is the easiest conversation starter.
Yeah, totally.
That could lead to anything.
Literally, a kid came over with his Switch at work one day, one of my old jobs, and I'm pretty good with kids, but every once in a while they can be a little bit rough. And this kid was kind of awkward, but he had a Switch with him, and he had Super Smash Brothers. So I was like, let's get a couple games in. Kid loved me. I became that kid's best friend in 30 minutes. So easy.
That's great.
No, that's great.
I trashed him, by the way. He got
obliterated. Did you stomp him?
The kid got stomped.
Brian does not take it easy on the kids.
No mercy.
Yeah, we don't take it easy on you.
No one gets a pass.
You got to learn that lesson early, kid. Sit down.
All right, so how's the alphabet go? There's A, then there's Brian, right?
Yep, it goes A, Brian, C, Devin.
Okay.
That's how it tends to work, yes. So yeah, I wanted to talk about a game that is also kind of similar in the way that it kind of shaped my life and the socialization of just me growing up. Because I was a pretty, like, I don't want to say a loner kid, but I was definitely very introverted, very much to myself, pretty shy. So I didn't like really communicate with people very much. It wasn't a big thing for me. I didn't need it. I had my friends around the neighborhood and stuff. But I got into online gaming, and this is the very first online game that I played. And we talked about this a little bit on our top 3 favorite games. It wasn't on my list, but it was actually on Devin's. And that was Halo 2. Halo 2 was the first Xbox, or the first game just period, that I played online. And that game changed my life so considerably.
Wow.
Like, not even just because, it was an online game and I competed and stuff like that, but it gave me a social group. Like, that was the first, like, big internet, like, friendships I started, to establish. People that I had never met before in my life, I became as good of friends with as I am with, like, you guys. And that became such an interesting thing because it was, 2004 was when this game came out. The internet was still not really a place that was seen like as real life, but like these were like real friendships that I was creating. So it got to the point where I think you guys knew that I used to compete in Halo. That was one of like the first games I competed in. So I would travel to different states and things like that, meet different people. And that would be like the times that I'd get to see what I considered my friends. So, I live in Virginia and I have a team with people that live in like California and Nevada and Idaho and stuff like that. And then like that time we have, a tournament coming up. That's when we actually get to meet and hang out and drink and do dumb shit or whatever, and also compete in this game. So it would be like this little nice, like, I don't know. It's like going on a vacation with all your best friends that you talk to all the time, but you don't actually get to see their face.
Right.
Nice.
Yeah.
I remember very specifically, there was this guy and he was from the UK. His name was like Dark Aura 13 or something like that.
Oh boy.
And that was my fucking dude. And he was, this might be disrespectful to the British folks, but online especially, every British person sounds exactly the same. Like when I hear a British man, I see the exact same 28-year-old skinny, like 5'11" white British dude. Right. Like in my mind, no matter what. So that's just what I always thought that he.
I don't
he
see
was
how that's
like.
offensive to British folk at all.
I feel like I'm probably like 80% right. But
Brian, you were talking to David Beckham the whole time.
He was Dark Aura.
But then it kind of ends up being like that, though, because I found out after playing with this man for years and years and years. We played multiple Halos together. Found out this man was a professional bodybuilder.
Wow.
And he was like 6'5" and humongous.
Oh, shit.
And much older than me as well. This dude had at least 10, 12 years on me.
Of course.
But we were just best friends because we both just like, hey, man, you want to play some team doubles? Hell yeah, bro. Let's do it.
Nice.
Boom. And we're on there. We're playing. We're hanging out and we're talking. Yeah, he used to tell me stuff about his life, and I don't know. It's just weird having that interaction with humans now, because that has become such a big part of my life. Like even now today, I have friends that I've met online that I've been invited to their weddings before. I've gone to people's weddings. I've seen the birth of their first children, like stuff like that, and it all is because of the internet. We would have never met otherwise, and I think that's super cool. And that game was really the first place that kind of put me there. So I thought that was cool.
You guys are really making me think more about other games that I never would have thought about in terms of this. So it's interesting. So I'm like, oh man, I don't know what to talk about now.
I wonder if they thought this hard when like the first couple of video games were invented. About I guess so. Like Pong was like one of the first, if not the first, but it was like inherently a multiplayer. So I guess video games are meant to like bring people together.
I think so.
Alex is bringing them together in person. Brian's was bringing them together over the internet, which is
that's pretty cool.
Well, look at that! Nowadays. I didn't even think about that. That's pretty cool.
Yeah,
very nice.
Absolutely.
All right, Devin, how you gonna fuck up that pattern there?
Well, so should I do the one that I think is more impact or less impact first? Should I do like the better one
this
first?
was technically my less impactful one.
Okay, so I'm gonna
believe it or not.
I'm gonna do the less impactful one first then. So after what Brian said, perfect segue to what I'm about to talk about.
Oh, there we go.
Because at first I was gonna say Halo 2 as well for my second favorite, but I think I'm actually gonna go with Halo 3 because I played Halo 2 when I was like in that impressionable age and stuff, like I was a little younger. Then Halo 3 came out when I was in high school. And like that was like the first game, probably the only game ever where I like, asked my parents to get it for me like on the launch, and like they got like the special edition and like, stayed up till like midnight or whatever. When she handed it to me, I was like so excited to like get home and play it.
Devin
and
was wearing a green cardboard box and calling himself Master Chief.
I absolutely had like the Halo 3 shirt from Walmart, 100%. I still have it.
Let's go.
So I think that the first one kind of like Halo 2 kind of like set up the impact that Halo 3 had on me, because like, and again, like, Brian played Halo the way that most people play Halo. I played Halo with no internet and like with my brother couch co-op, and we just played the story again and again and again and again and again. And then but I did like with Halo 3 when I was in high school, we'd have like these parties where people would bring their TVs and their Xbox 360s, and we do like the LAN parties.
Oh, you did a LAN party?
Yeah, and
old school LAN party.
You'd literally have 16 people in one room, all playing Halo together on the same, like in the same game, but all like big team battle, but in the same room. So it just smelled like Axe body spray and like Mountain Dew.
I was about to say that room feels like it's just hot.
At least it smelled like Axe body spray and not like lack of Axe body spray.
Yeah,
I can appreciate that.
True, but just a lot of dude smell. But that was like, so I got to do the multiplayer and the story. So that was kind of my first exposure to like multiplayer with other people. But yeah, I think that it just kind of set the tone for like what I expected of other games, because, Halo 2, Halo 3 were like some of the best, like just so well executed, so well polished. And I just like, I could recite to you probably, some of the stuff with it. Like, and whenever I do go back and play Halo 3, man, that nostalgia is going to hit so hard. But I think that was definitely like the main game of my high school life. And it was kind of, it hit at the time where like I wasn't quite, I was like a teenager developing and stuff, but I think that one definitely had the most impact on me in that part of my life.
Nice. I will say, LAN parties were probably one of my favorite experiences with growing up, and I hope they come back. I know they're kind of doing it with barcades and stuff now, but holy shit, you just brought back some nostalgia for me, bro.
Yeah, I know, right?
Yeah, I never ever experienced a LAN part. Well, no, I guess there was at one point. I did go to or I guess you would call it barcade, but it was for children. So it was literally just they had shit ton of TVs set up, and I did that once, and it was like the coolest thing.
Yeah, that was a LAN center, bro. You went to your first LAN center. Wow. That's awesome.
Yeah,
we had one that we used to go to all the time. I had a friend. You know him, Devin. I'm not gonna say his full name, but David.
Yeah.
Not gonna dox him or anything. But me, David, and all of our friends from high school. I think we did that back in middle school too. We just used to, like you said, bring our tube TV, stuff them in the car with our Xboxes, and just go roll over there. David's mom would go and get us like pizza or like Subway or something stupid, and we would just stay up all night just drinking Ball's energy drink. And
these weren't like monitors, like sleek monitors like today. These were like the boxes. Like you'd have to bring those huge boxes.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
them shit's heavy.
Yeah, that's commitment.
People would literally bring them in. It'd be like 3 people would carry one, bring it in, and like somebody would always insist on like bringing the big one. And like it was at the time where like on your 360 you could play music, but it would overdo the audio on like on the game. So like there'd be one LAN party. Like I think the one that sticks out in my mind is like where whoever was controlling the audio had like one song, that song from the Gears of War trailer, like Mad World, and it played nonstop the entire night of like 6 or 7, 8 hours, however long we were playing. It played on repeat the whole time while we're playing Halo together. I'm like, can somebody turn this shit off? Like, I have this song memorized now. But yeah, but that was the goofy kind of, and you're like sitting like on the edge of like a couch or like maybe a stool or something, and like you're just very uncomfortable. You're like hunched over.
You're hunched over.
Like, your face is like an inch from the screen, or you're like across the room. Like there's no in between.
Can't see shit.
Like oh God, man, that
good old days.
That was great.
Well, I hate to break the cycle. I could continue it because y'all made me think of something else, but I'm gonna stick with what I got, and maybe I'll just shout it out right before we cut off. I'm gonna switch it up. This one, I chose Assassin's Creed, the franchise, but primarily Assassin's Creed 2 and Brotherhood, this was a sequel. Um, and the fact that it was probably, to my mind that I can think of, the only games that actively made me want to look into history.
Wow.
Like in the fact that it made me
Mm.
want to learn more. And I can't really say that about a lot of games, I feel.
Mm-hmm.
Specifically, like in Assassin's Creed 2, I actively remember like Googling and looking up like the Italian Renaissance and like the Borgia family and how fucked up they were and shit like that. And I think Ubisoft at the time and still kind of now, they had such a cool balance of implementing real world events with this weird fake story that
Mm-hmm.
the events still happened the way history kind of
Mhm.
says it, but they had that assassin twist to it where it's like, oh, the assassins were there the whole time, type of shit like that.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And it was like, oh my God, that's super cool. And it actively made me want to go and learn more about just actual world history and stuff. And they've really honed in on that in the most recent games as well. In Origins. They've also done an Odyssey, but I haven't gotten it there because that game's too long.
Oh man, it looks so good though.
Yeah. Where they have what they call the Discovery Tour, where it's basically the same open world map, but it's a non-combative zone, and they have pinpoints all over the map that you can just go visit, and it's like a learning center, and they'll
Wow.
tell you about this historical monument that you're at, and they'll tell you all these facts about what the people would do here and what was going on. So like it's just like you'd go to like one section of Egypt, and it'd be like, here's a grain field, and it would tell you facts of this is what happened, blah blah blah. People would do this day to day, blah blah blah, yada yada. And I literally sat there and did every single pinpoint of that for like 4 hours. It's a credit to them because they do build very accurate worlds. Yeah, it was just a cool thing that I was like, wow, I never would have learned a lot of this stuff and these weird cool facts and fun fact type of stuff without that franchise of those games.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was just an impactful way that it actively
Mhm.
made me want to learn
Mhm.
more. Not so learn about like the lore of the world of the game, but like actual historical knowledge type of thing. So
Yeah,
yeah, I thought
Right.
it was kind of cool.
that's cool.
Wow.
Sparked your curiosity.
Yeah, definitely.
That's funny that you say that because we were speaking about that on one of our earlier podcast episodes with the Fortnite thing and Martin Luther King being put in there and how it felt
so
kind
true.
of uncanny, a little weird, but the idea behind it was kind of cool because it does potentially spark learning. And this kind of sounds like what happens when you're doing it correctly, or at least when you're doing it better. I don't want to say correctly, when you're doing it better. Because it's giving you, it's not invasive, but at the same time, it's giving you a place where it's like, if I want to know more about this, I know I have the tools myself, and they've given me enough of like a starting point to kind of get further into it, like you said.
Yeah.
I was trying to think of another game that someone was making fun of. Might have been Assassin's Creed too, because there's like a meme about something like that when people are like, "Oh, well, tell me more about history," and they're like, "Oh, I know history," and they hold up like a video game, and it's like, "Okay, sure."
Right.
I think I sent Oscar this one. This like it's a verbal meme. It's like the Undertaker. It's like that meme format where the Undertaker's coming out,
Yeah.
and it's like me who like 100%ed every Assassin's Creed game, and it's like Randy Orton like scared and shocked, like the history test. Like, yeah,
it was pretty good.
Mhm.
But yeah,
great.
no, that
That's
was
awesome.
my less, not so much emotional impact, but just the curiosity impact of
hmm
life that
Yeah.
I never thought about until now.
I mean,
That's
that
so
game
cool.
almost got me. I was out to do it, but shit, it's boring. It's boring to play.
You're not
That's
entirely
just
wrong.
me. This is a little repetitive. I'll try.
Brotherhood was really cool, especially like when you got like you could start
That's my
recruiting
favorite.
assassins, and then you could just like call them in to like take out people on like a separate rooftop and stuff. That was awesome. I think
Yeah,
Brotherhood was cool.
that was probably
Oh.
the peak for them.
I've only played 1 and 2, so that's my bad. I got 3, 4,
Ooh,
maybe 5.
Brotherhood's when I
Odyssey.
finally you played all the way through 1. That was I couldn't get through 1.
I think I
1
100% it was
I
sucks.
actually.
I went through one.
Yeah, that was back when I cared about that
That
kind
one's unplayable
God.
now.
of
Yeah, I had to let them all go, but that's cool. I'm glad
Yeah.
that video
That's
games are
awesome.
out there teaching people stuff. That's really amazing.
Teaching people stuff.
Who
Mhm.
would have
Yeah.
thought?
Look at
Learning things from video games. There you go, parents.
Right.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Right.
fuck school.
Not entirely useless.
Just play video games. You got your friendships. You got your history. That's all
Play
you
video
need.
games. Drop out.
Drop
Drop out
out.
of college.
Listen, I know mathematics and physics. I know how to throw a grenade.
I know how to throw a grenade.
That trajectory, I know what the fuck is up.
Let's go trigonometry.
I know how long I have to cook it and then chuck it before it blows up my hand. Kids, don't do that. Don't do that.
Don't do that.
Please, yeah.
All right. So my second game that was the most impactful emotionally. This one's more emotional, I feel like. I said earlier that both of my games were kind of similar, but also drastically different. So this game is similar because it didn't really. It's a single player game focused on the story. It didn't really help me make friends per se, but it over time, thinking about the game and replaying it over the years, it's helped me develop myself as a person and who I would like to be and how I would like to carry on my friendships. And that game is Kingdom Hearts.
Oh.
Yeah. It's a game that's all about, especially the first one in particular, the whole theme is just friendships. It's just like your friends are there for you throughout and you got to have their back throughout. And it's like the whole goal of the game, you're playing as Sora and you have your best friends and you're going on this adventure with them and you're like, hey, best friends, let's go leave this island together and explore the world. And something happens and you lose your best friend. So the whole rest of the game, you're just trying to find your friends. You're just trying to get back together with your friends. And I think that is just so beautiful. And it goes through all these different arcs and stuff. But deep down, it's just about being with your friends and telling.
Is Riku his best friend though? He kind of a prick in that first. No,
he's a rival, but they're definitely.
He's like the big brother type of like a. I think they're definitely more friends than anything. But I do see what you mean. They're like a little sibling rivalry there.
And I mean, that's what kind of makes you make a really interesting point with that I kind of love. Not to derail or take over the conversation, but a big thing that Riku feels is jealousy. And that's what makes him and brings the darkness into his heart and makes that, spoilers for Kingdom Hearts 1, Jesus Christ. That game is 2,000 years old. But I think that's kind of cool because that's a very real emotion that you do find because Sora found new friends. And that was a hurtful thing to Riku. Yeah. It was like, well, you lost me and you didn't try to look for me? Like
that was sad. That was a sad moment. Yeah,
that shit hit my heart hard. I was like, "Oh, Riku."
I kind of forget. You kind of forget about that first one, but the endings of that first one, the whole Riku stuff, it's like, there's a lot of emotional weight there.
He was a sad guy. They didn't have FaceTime back then, or cell phones. But yeah, I think more and more as I replay it, and I always think about, even though I don't have times to play games, I'm always thinking about them. And this is one that I always think about in life and stuff. And it's just like one of the lessons I feel like it teaches you is to, always be true to yourself and be true to your friendships. And it's not bad to tell your friends as a guy growing up in patriarchal society of America. It's not a bad thing to tell your friends that you love them. And I just want to say that I love you guys.
Thanks, Donald.
Yeah,
love you too, man.
Quack.
Love you too, man.
Spread that positivity.
I love you too.
You're Donald because you're the wizard.
That's true. I am very okay.
You're never gonna heal me.
Yeah,
piece of shit.
I like that. I like that sentiment, Alex. That's a great sentiment.
No, that made me. I'm over here feeling
the music. Also, just really, really stuck with me for a long time.
And it was music.
And it was the first game that I played that made me cry by the time I finally beat it. And it's just so beautiful. And it really stuck with me. And it's something that I still think about. The lessons that it taught me throughout the story are lessons that I try to instill in my life right now. So it changed me for sure.
That's awesome.
Nice.
That's awesome.
That's beautiful.
Man, that music is a bop. I still listen to that soundtrack to this day.
I've been replaying it. Yeah, there's a lot of like great covers out there on Spotify too. There's great stuff from that game. Yeah.
I guess I'm up next again.
Yep.
Am I gonna make us feel sad? Maybe. Make us feel a lot of feelings. That's okay.
Bring us down, Brian. Let's go. We've been too high.
Yeah. We've been having too much fun. It's time to get deep.
Time to get sad.
No, it's not so much that deep like that, but it is something that I think does or did have a huge impact on my life because it's something that I kind of grew up with inadvertently, and I didn't really think about it much until kind of recently. And that game, which funnily enough came out at the same time as Halo 2, is World of Warcraft. World of Warcraft came out in 2004 and still exists to this day. Similarly to Halo, I did find a love for that game from competition and competing in it, and that actually was an aspect that did change a lot in my life. I got to make money playing a video game for the first time, which was a wild experience as a whole. I can get into that as a whole separate thing. playing a video game professionally, and that was way before Twitch and all of that nonsense where you can become an entertainer. So that was super cool. But the thing with World of Warcraft was it was one of those games I don't even play anymore, which is funny about it, but it's always something that I could always come back to and feel a certain comfort in. And I think that's what's kind of I love about it, because I mean, I've lived and done so much in my life, and that game's always existed and been around. Like, I've had deaths in family, I've had friends grow up, I've lost friends, gained new friends, had relationships, lost relationships, and World of Warcraft has always kind of been that comfort for me throughout. Like, during the pandemic, I actually started picking it up again, and then like towards the beginning of the pandemic, just as something to keep my mind off of the atrocity that's the world. So it was like really and a lifesaver in a lot of ways, and it's been that multiple times in my life. I remember one of my memories was like back in 2007 when my grandmother passed away, and she was super important to me. She was one of the pillars of my personal life. World of Warcraft got me through that. I remember playing back then. That was 2007. In college, towards the last year of college, I started feeling a lot of depression when you guys were like, everybody was graduating and I was struggling. I couldn't graduate at the time because I had taken time off because money and finances, all that stuff. World of Warcraft had my back then as well. And then pandemic happened. We had a first pandemic in 100 years that's been this terrible. World of Warcraft had my back once again.
Nice.
So it's just funny the way that the things that we kind of choose to find comfort in hard times, and how important that can be. Because I think we don't think a lot about those things. We think about especially entertainment and the impact that those things kind of have on you. But it's like entertainment's what keeps us from sometimes losing it all. I mean, we all have to have our little things that keep us going at the end of the day.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's kind of interesting that that's been a pillar in my life that I'm able to always go back to, even if it's not the biggest thing in my life or not something that I always care about. It's kind of always been that constant. Mm-hmm. And there's a comfort in that in itself.
That's dope.
So I think that's cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah. Especially because that game has been around for what feels like a century.
Fucking ever.
Yeah.
And then a thing as well, talking about, their recent issues
troubles.
Their recent troubles, if you guys haven't read about Blizzard and their recent troubles, is I have personally gotten to hear a lot of stories from just people that play the game, people that have made the game, and about how the game has affected their life, similarly to the way it has affected mine. I think that's super cool to like, it's more than just a video game for so many people. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people, when they think about video games, for the longest time, we thought it was childish or thought it was stupid or things like that. Like, it's changed people's lives. Like, not just because they make money from it, not just because whatever. Like, no, I mean, some of these things have created friendships, relationships, love. I've seen people get married in World of Warcraft. Like, I don't know. It's cool to see what video games does for people, and I love that.
World of Warcraft was the first MMO, right? Like, it was the first one where you wouldn't just hop on like Halo and just play like a few games, get off. Like, you could actually just explore.
Probably like the first biggest one.
Yeah, so it was the first MMO, but it was probably the most accessible for like the average like player, and I think that's what made it so popular. A lot of people criticized it for that, but I think it was very easy to pick up, hard to master kind of way that it felt. And a lot of people, that was a lot of people's first MMO. Kind of the way that Halo was a lot of people's first shooter. It wasn't the first shooter, but it was the first one that felt accessible to like the general public, I think. Yeah.
Did you guys ever play RuneScape? That was the big one that came out.
Of course I played RuneScape. That ugly ass game.
I did not, but I always figured that was like the poor man's World of Warcraft.
It was goofy as hell.
I played on my buddy's account, and we would just try to like put in curse words, and you just walk around with it all blanked out because they wouldn't allow cursing on there.
That man was speedrunning trying to get banned.
I wasn't very good at it. I just remember walking around calling people buttheads with one with one T.
You guys know that game still exists, right? We can go play it right now.
That's really? Oh my goodness.
They made a new version, and they have the classic version as well, so you can play that boxy ass 3-pixel version if you want to.
Wow.
We should.
That's crazy.
I'm
not surprised. I shouldn't be surprised.
Not to get too far off base, but we had a kid in college that used to make money selling RuneScape gold, like a lot of money. That's how he used to buy his alcohol and stuff every weekend, because he just used to farm RuneScape gold. Shit was wild.
Supporting the essentials in life.
Supporting the essentials in life, man. He was balling out.
The human desire to barter for anything. It just goes full circle
oh my God.
That's funny.
I love it.
Well, Brian, I'm glad you've had like a rock in your life that's been also like been constantly updated. Like I can't play Kingdom Hearts now. I could play it, but it would like feel like nostalgic for one, but clanky as hell for two.
Right.
You talked about it, so I'm gonna go play that janky ass game.
Yeah. I actually really want to get all the remastered versions and play those, but
you should absolutely. Yeah, highly recommend.
So I mean, we touched on bringing people together, which I think games are good at. We're both in person and out. We touched on discovery, and we touched on escapism, which I think is a huge thing in games. Of like being able to absorb, like delve into another world and stuff. And on that note, I have a game that I've already mentioned in the past.
If you say Rocket League, no,
it's not Rocket. That would be hilarious, though. I'd have to try to make this like really good point for Rocket League. No, the game that I think has had the most impact on who I am now is The Witcher 3, and I think it's because it's changed my perspective on the world, right? So I think it came at a time where I think I was kind of starting to shed some of the naivety about so at the time I was watching Game of Thrones, which really is really very allegorical to real world things. And a lot of it's, verbatim based on some things from history, things like that. And so Witcher is like that in a video game, but it was also so well done with the story and the character building and just the complexity of the world they created. And also how messed up in the real world it was, and that The Witcher changed how I thought about politics and nation states and people and conflict and war. Wow. And just so you might think that nations try to do the right thing most of the time. It turns out sometimes it's just moved by a few people, and they're the ones just pulling the strings of history, and everybody else just gets caught up in the gears, right? Yeah. Of these massive conflicts. So you deal with that a lot in The Witcher, of refugees and just how war tears things apart, and then there's opportunist people that will try to do anything they can in a war zone, and so it's very dark, right? It's very, very dark, and it wasn't like Mass Effect or other choice-based things where you had a good, clear, good and bad choice. This one's this choice is going to suck, and this choice is also going to suck. But I have to choose one of them, and every choice there's multiple factors going on. I remember
spoilers. Check the time codes.
The one I always think of in the choice-based thing is like in the human city, they burn elves and dwarves because they're racist, right? There's this one dwarf that sets a trap with a necker, like a weird gnome thing, and he tries to kill this human, and so you go in and investigate. And the cop is or the guard is like, hey, I need you to go figure it out, Witcher. And you go in and you find out the dwarf set this trap. And I'm like, and then you have to go choose. Do you tell the guard that the dwarf did it? Or do you side with this snobby human? I sided with the dwarf because I'm thinking of the geopolitical
racial stuff
things. Cause I'm because the dwarf, if that would just help the humans have more of their narrative against dwarves and elves, right? And those are the things that are going into every decision in the game. It's
that's why I haven't finished that game yet.
Can we discuss the fact that is not even a main point of the game?
No.
That is just a side quest.
Which
I know because I did that side quest.
Yeah, those side quests right? are fucking heavy.
And then there's one later where and I think one of the biggest ones that changed how, because usually when these kind of games, I would always make the choice for to make the world better, even though if it sacrificed people in the middle. There's this point towards the end of the game where Roach and his assistant, I can't remember her name, but they come up to you and basically it's you have to pick them or Dijkstra, and Dijkstra would fight the invading Nilfgaardians that are coming from the south. So he would be better for the northern kingdoms, right? If you side with him, but he abandoned you when you needed help at Kaer Morhen against the Wild Hunt. So in that choice, that was the first time I ever chose screw you, man. I'm going with Roach and
I'm a petty bitch. I would have picked the same thing.
Yeah, because Roach backed me up, So it's Vernon Roach. So it's things like that. It's just I got so into the game and the world, and every side quest was so well written, and the characters were so well written. And then when the downloadable content came out, I mean, first of all, the first one was just a really good story, but the second one was a whole nother area to explore, and it was basically a retirement tour for Geralt. And at the end of it, at the very last part of it, he breaks the fourth wall and looks at you. He's we've seen a lot of stuff together. And he's cheers to you. And it just hits you so.
I don't know how I feel about that part.
Oh, wow.
Oh, it was good, man. It was good.
It reminds me of the first time Pikachu talked. No, dude, that's weird.
I don't know. I got so into it, and
no, that's awesome.
That's cool.
Yeah, so I think that but it changed of how I thought. It made me not more cynical, but just more realistic on like how you think about how things work, and it's kind of set that, and combined with Game of Thrones, kind of set the tone of how I think about the world that we live in now. And when I study history, like, because I still learn about history for fun, like it just kind of, it keeps proving true of like, this is what it's always been like. And The Witcher was just so good at like taking the problems of the real world, putting it into this amazing game with a beautiful story, and like seeing it out, and like it, hitting as an adult, like playing it. I mean, it was just it's the only game that's had that much power and impact on me as playing it as an adult. So
that's a great answer.
Devin, you don't miss, bro. How do you just not miss?
That's awesome.
He basically just went from the complete opposite of escapism.
Yeah.
He managed to hit on a really important thing where it's like, that's not escapism, really.
That's real.
Because
That's
it's
real.
so grounded, impressively grounded in real life allegory. And I think that's super interesting.
That's awesome.
That you kind of feel so attached to it for that reason, because that's what you're talking about is very real. Game of Thrones is funny because Game of Thrones focused very much on the high tier and the people that pulled the strings, whereas Witcher feels like it feels a lot more on what the people boots on the ground feel like, because Game of Thrones makes it feel like this is a big important issue to everyone because everyone's high in royalty. But in real life, in conflict, most people aren't choosing sides. They just trying to do their best to live their lives.
Right.
And that sometimes mean being on separate parts of, the red line, and being on different sides and having to fight each other and kill each other when everyone's just trying to put food on their table.
Yes, it humanizes everybody. Like, Geralt, you work with the Nilfgaardians, you also work with the Northern Kingdoms, you work with the Elves, you work with all these different factions. Like in Witcher 2, you get introduced to Yorvith, this really badass like freedom fighter, and like to him at first he's a terrorist to you, but then later on, you might even like join his side later on in the thing. So I mean, and I think most games, like especially in Mass Effect and stuff, like you're this powerful character and you directly dictate what will happen in the whole galaxy, right? And that's what games are kind of make us used to, that of like you're the main character,
well, feel good,
you impact everything. Geralt, even though you're a Witcher with all this, like you're crazy, well, you're not crazy powerful, but you're more powerful than regular humans. You can only shift certain things that happen. You can't change the outcome to make the world a better place at the end of it. Like the world is still a very flawed place by the end of The Witcher. And you just got to, what's important is the people that you impacted along the way, like the individuals. So it's a very like existential, sentiment.
That's really beautiful.
Yeah.
Now I want to play that again.
I know. It makes me want to go, every time he talks about it, makes me want to go back, but it's just like, I'm probably not even halfway. Fuck.
Oscar, you have to start over at this point.
No, I refuse.
I just got to do the last mission. It's just.
You just got to do the last mission, Allie?
I just got to go. I got a bunch of side quests still that I've been doing, and then I just got to go save Siri or Sarah. What's her name?
Siri.
But I'm scared. I'm scared that I'm gonna get into that mission, and they're gonna give me this impossible choice, and I'm not gonna know how to answer it. Also, it's been like 5 years, so I don't know how to play anymore. But I do need to finish it.
Somehow, this is going to turn into the podcast where Alex started with not playing or finishing any games to somehow being the one that finishes every game.
I'm going on a quest. I'm going on a quest. I'm questing to finish all the games that I never finished.
That's awesome.
Starting with the newest game that I started, Final Fantasy VII. But that's fine. I just want to finish on one note, Devin. I have a question. Do you remember what the company that made the Witcher games, where they're from, their country?
Yeah, Poland.
Didn't they give Barack Obama, when he was in presidency, they gifted him the game as like a gift, right?
Yeah, I think it was The Witcher 2
so
when he made a state visit. He gave them they're like, we need our best export. It's like, here, The Witcher 2.
That's hilarious.
I really hope that he played it. I really hope that he played it. I was like, wow.
Oh, that would be funny. Like, no, it just reminds Obama of work. Like he goes in.
He's like, man, I don't need to fucking worry about this fake ass world. I got to worry about the real one.
He's like in all the geopolitical situations of like Nilfgaard and the Northern Kingdoms and stuff. He's like, all right, now we got to build a coalition. We got it. All right, now Nilfgaard,
you people have to get along,
right? Oh my God, that's so good. Can we get Barack Obama in The Witcher, please?
Yeah, what if there's a mod that just replaces Geralt with Obama?
Yeah, I would definitely play The Witcher.
That'd be pretty
tomorrow.
That'd be great.
Oh, that'd be funny.
Oh, that's so funny. All right, I guess that's me next. Had I known that other people were going to pick games that they've talked about in the past, I wouldn't have felt so not sure if I was going to pick this one or not. But mine is The Last of Us. And I realized that Yeah, I talked about it. It's my favorite game of all time. But funny enough, and it works out because the one aspect that I'm going to talk about why it's impactful for me, I didn't talk about at all when we talked about it at first. So it works out.
Yeah.
Just because it's a bit of a loophole, but it still works. And it's the fact that the music of that game is very impactful for me personally. I struggled figuring things out for this one because we're all different people, and like a lot of people in the world, like Brian said earlier, people use different forms of media as their kind of their cushion, as their thing. So some people like read books, some people watch movies. For me, primarily it's like movies, but music mostly. Music is what I go back to when I'm feeling low or just feeling good, and I feel like having a nice song. But and particularly when I'm feeling low, and I think everyone had. I'm not say everyone. A lot of people had a fairly low moment in 2020 or 2021. And for me, music really, really helped a lot. And The Last of Us is one of those pieces of music. I've listened through all three, or yeah, three soundtracks, because they have one for the first game, the second game, and they have one for the Left Behind DLC. My favorite song is funny enough comes from that Left Behind DLC from the first game. It's not from the first or second game, but yeah, so music for me is very important, and particularly orchestral music. Funny, it doesn't have anything to do with the game itself, or the gameplay or the story. Granted, it's there and it's good, but I haven't played that game in years. But I actively still listen to that soundtrack every now and then, especially like this past year. Just when you're not feeling great, and it's made me also pick up a guitar, and learn some of the songs from it, just because they're nice acoustic. I love a good like acoustic melody or a nice
Hell
piano
yeah.
melody or something like that. That's what all of these soundtracks are for these games. Shout out to Gustavo Santaolalla, the composer, who is phenomenal. He's done a bunch of stuff. He did the score for Brokeback Mountain and Babel, and
Okay.
he did one for a movie
shit.
called Before the Flood that I didn't know, with Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross as well. And
Heck yeah.
yeah, so I might go check that out. I didn't know about that. I had to look that
Very
one up.
cool.
Yeah, and so it's just like a nice thing for me and impact whenever. Yeah, you just don't feel good, and it's what I go to as in my form of media. Like it's helped me just sitting quietly, close your clothes, just play it, and just kind of like let it consume you in a way.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, it might make you a little sad for depending on your mood. But at other times it's got a nice hopefulness to it for me personally. Um, yeah, and like I said, I've learned to play a couple of those songs, and like same thing with like The Last of Us Part Two. There's like a secret cutscene. Spoiler: check the time codes. Where you can go and as Ellie and pick up a guitar, and she will play. There's an entire cutscene of her playing a rendition of Aha, or of Take
Take
on Me
on me.
by Aha.
Yeah.
And she just sings it to Dina, and she just sings this whole beautiful version, and it's just a beautiful moment. And I started to learn to play that too, just because it's one of those things that just kind of makes you feel a little better. For me, it makes me feel a little better when life's not feeling all that great. Um, and this past year and a half or so, at times, it wasn't all that great. Whether it was about a specific person or an event or just the state of the world, this helped along the way. I kind of loophole because I granted the music wouldn't exist without the game, but
Mm-hmm.
yeah, because for me, I don't games aren't the thing. Like I play a game for escapism or anything like that. I just kind of I never thought about it that way. You guys during these conversations made me think of a lot more different things. So I was like, oh yeah, I guess that did kind of impact in some other ways. But for me, it's music mostly that I jump
Yeah.
back to.
That's dope.
But yeah,
That's funny that you talk about that personally, because I was actually talking to a friend recently about something similar to that. They might listen to this podcast, so shout out to Sarah. if
shout
you're
out
listening to
Sarah.
this.
Hi, Sarah.
But I remember we were talking about something, and then I was just talking about how I don't feel like I'm very sentimental of a person. I don't think I'm a very sentimental person. And the way that I was thinking when I was thinking about it was like, you know, how people have a lot of keepsakes or a lot of material things that they keep that remind them of stuff and things like that. I've never been that big into that stuff. It's never been big for me or my family. Like I don't have photo albums, don't take a lot of pictures, don't have a lot of mementos of any sort. But then they were like, oh, well, you do like a lot of like older music, and I feel like you go back to it a lot. You're sentimental for music.
Mm-hmm.
And I never thought about it that way. And it kind of like, it took me aback. I'm like, what? No way. And it's like, damn, she's right. I absolutely am like very sentimental towards that, and apparently video games too, because we talk about my comfort games that I play every year. And it's kind of funny thinking in that way because you don't really think of that kind of stuff when you think about being a sentimental person,
Right.
I suppose.
Music is incredibly powerful.
It is.
Yeah.
It sure is. Yeah.
Yeah, that's why like movie scores are one of my favorite things to listen to a lot of the time.
Also, I think like games, like especially like in the golden age, like Skyrim, Mass Effect, stuff like games like that. Like the music is so powerful now. They have like whole concerts of like orchestras playing just video game soundtracks.
Yeah, they sure do.
Like Ocarina of Time, I think. Like Zelda. I mean,
I know some people that went to the Kingdom Hearts concert. I wish.
I was trying to go before COVID
Right.
because there's one happening in Atlanta at one point.
yeah.
And I remember I said it interested so I could hopefully get tickets, but then COVID happened.
I think it's definitely one of the areas of video games that has shined, that maybe people that not defying expectations, but just definitely like one of the parts that like, oh my gosh, like music is like this was for a video game, like this amazing score, like wow.
Video games are art, and they're finally being accepted as such, as they should be, because they are as impactful as seeing a beautiful painting or a lovely melody or all these other things that we've equated to art. Like this is art.
Yeah.
And I think that's why it's so impactful.
Yeah. Shout out real quick before I forget. I wanted to shout out if you are a fan of like kind of acoustic-y melody, something like that, listen to the Left Behind soundtrack. The Last of Us Left Behind soundtrack. Listen to the song Left Behind and then in parentheses Together. That is my favorite of all time for the Last of Us stuff. And then for The Last of Us 2, listen to It Can't Last. They're just really beautiful. They're like 2-minute songs each. Yeah, so if anyone's listening and you feel like having a nice little quiet moment to yourself,
that's cool.
Go for it.
That's dope.
Is that it from everyone?
I think we touched on a lot of stuff.
That's it.
A lot of what makes games great.
We did.
Y'all got me feeling all sorts of feelings.
I need a tissue.
I want a quick shout out because you guys made me think of this. Call of Duty Zombies World at War is 100% the multiplayer thing that you guys were all talking about. That I was like, yes, I did not think about that.
Yeah.
Absolutely, that is a connector.
That is funny.
Give me the ray gun.
Yes, absolutely.
Oh,
One of the first multiplayer things where I actually made friends online.
Yeah.
And then Rock Band like personally took a lot of the anxiety. Granted, other elements helped out in my anxiety to sing in front of people, but Rock Band is that 100% outlook where now it's just like, I don't care, I'll do it whenever.
Nice. That's amazing.
That's another thing we always do when we come over. We play some Rock Band.
We always play some Rock Band. Yeah. Sweet. That was awesome, guys. I hope you enjoyed that, listeners. A little insight to our personal lives. Let's move on to our final segment of the week. All right, Devin, watch out for that boulder. No. All right, it's time for the third and final segment of the week.
We're going to start getting Devin to go to Florida or something stupid. It's really random.
Right.
Devin took another trip to Montana. Weird.
It sounds like it's a pet that your parents told you they got rid of. They didn't want to tell you it died.
Oh, yeah, he ran away. Devin ran away from home.
Yeah.
That man's 30. Yeah, he ran away.
All right, listeners, it is time for our final segment of the week, which we like to call Free for All. Title pending. This is a segment, listeners, where we can kind of do whatever we want. We can talk about something we've done this week. We can talk about a life experience we've had. We can talk about anything we want. We can rant. We can just have a conversation. It's free for all. So I'll start this week. This week I watched Dave Chappelle's final and probably most controversial Netflix special,
Sick.
The Closer. It's his 6th one. It's 100% his weakest one so far.
Wow.
Oh shit.
Yeah, sadly, because I was like, oh, I hope he goes out on a bang. There's a lot of really good, funny stuff in there, but there's a lot of shit where it does seem like he is trying to just not even so much tell jokes, whereas to just kind of get his own themes and points across. Because a lot of criticism I've been reading is that he's hammered home the more trans jokes, more about the trans community and how they've been shitting on him on Twitter for the past jokes he's made in the past specials,
that's
yada,
not
and calling him
fun.
transphobic and everything. No, and I'm one of those people. I don't think he's a transphobic or homophobic. I honestly think he's probably a good person at heart, and I think this is his comedy in a way. If you've seen any of his comedy, you kind of know what I'm talking about. But I do think in this one, he kind of missed the mark in the fact that it does seem like he has a bit of a vendetta and a chip on his shoulder in this one, and he's just kind of trying to vent, whereas not as much tell jokes in this one. So it's kind of disappointing, and And some of it you could be offensive, even outside of like not comedy can't be offensive, and some people will say, but like in this one, there are times where it's like, that one's not even funny, you know.
You
So
gotta at least be funny if you're gonna do it. So do you
right,
know the
and
specifics of the controversy? I was talking to someone about it yesterday
mhm.
actually, and I was curious. I haven't looked up what it kind of is about, and I haven't watched the special yet. But I know some of it was based around the baby thing, which I can
Yes,
say that on the record right now. The baby's pretty dumb, and he's always been pretty dumb. The homophobic
yeah,
things that he said and things he said about AIDS was not the worst thing that the baby has done. I'm
right,
not disappointed that that's what got him quote unquote canceled. But the man's also done
mm,
shit like he's hit a woman, he's shot
right.
somebody, he's done more things than just saying homophobic comments.
That is a point that Dave makes in one
Is
of the
it?
specials where he talks about how DaBaby got canceled because of the things he said. Yet this is the same man who shot someone in a Walmart, killed someone, and nothing, and his
He's
career
killed.
kept
Oh,
going,
I don't know,
type of
killed him.
thing.
Yeah. So
I'm pretty sure that person out that Walmart he got in a fight with and shot died.
Wow.
Yeah. But apparently, like there are other facts that Dave excludes to make his own point, which some people have had issues with,
fair.
type of thing. And Dave has always been a type of comedian where race is always more important than any other community struggles, basically. And so he gets a real point across, whereas he makes the point of how the trans and gay community is only trans and gay until something happens, and then they use their white privilege. But and people are mad because it's like there are people of color that are also in those communities that you neglect just to make your point,
Right.
type of
Mm.
thing.
That's super not fair.
Exactly. It's not fair. But he probably like those things probably do happen. Sadly,
Mhm.
that probably does happen. But it's not a blanket statement on that whole community, like he's making it out to seem. And so it's a bit
Yeah.
of a disappointment as a
He
whole.
should have left that one alone. That's pretty disappointing.
Yeah, it's a bit
I
of a
agree.
disappointment considering I thought all of his other specials were really good. Honestly, I think I've enjoyed every single one. This was definitely the weakest out of all six, and
Yeah.
it's like, bit of a bummer.
That's a thing for me personally. I don't want to say I'm conflicted. I haven't watched it, so I can't even say that I have that big of opinion on it quite yet. It's something I do want to watch
Mhm,
for mainly for the controversy. I'll be honest with you. But also I did like Dave
mhm.
Chappelle. I mean, we all kind of grew up with Dave Chappelle. Dave
Yeah,
Chappelle was also very much a product of his time. So that's where I kind of have the
yeah,
conflict where it's like on one end, it's 2021. And if you can't grow and learn and start to make better jokes with time, that's you failing as a comedian, in my opinion. Saying that, oh, we just can't say
yeah.
anything anymore, it sounds like a cop out of being too
A
bad at
bit.
telling jokes that
Yeah,
maybe have to,
I agree with you, Brian. That's a great point. You got to adapt.
yeah, that maybe
Yeah,
maybe just don't tell that good jokes. Like, yeah, Amy Schumer did shot comedy for 20 years, but shot comedy isn't
right.
a cool thing anymore. But it was awesome in 2008 when Dave Chappelle and Daniel Tosh existed.
Yeah,
But then also,
yeah,
that's what Dave Chappelle's been known for. That's what he made his name from, was making, I mean, the Dave
yeah.
Chappelle show was him doing shocking things. Mainly,
Mhm.
like you said, it dealt a lot with race, which is okay because he is of the race that he's typically making
Right.
fun
Oh
of.
yeah.
A big thing
Right.
that a lot of comedians talk about is the punching up compared to punching down.
Which he also talks about in
And
this
it
special.
gets
Yeah.
more difficult when you talk about race compared to sexuality because where is it punching up compared to punching down?
Right.
Because, we all kind of struggle. We're all the marginalized groups, a trans person and a
Mhm.
black person.
Yep.
That being said, black men are often called the white people of black people for a very specific reason. And it sounds like a
Whoa.
joke. It sounds funny, but it's very much because black men do have a privilege that oftentimes a lot of black non-binary, black trans, and black women
Yeah.
don't have.
Oh,
And they
okay.
very often
Correct.
use that in a negative fashion. And that's why that term was kind of coined. And him doing what he did only kind of solidifies, at least what it sounds like. Of
Right.
course, I haven't watched it, so I can't say, but that's what it sounds like is kind of happening there. It's just the kind of like the black trans thing and the trans thing saying how they use their white privilege is really fucked to say, considering how much black trans women put into creating things like pride and allowing people to be accepted and pronouns and things like that. Like, you're really discrediting them by saying that it's all a bunch of
Mhm.
white people being funny.
Yeah.
Like, you're
Yeah.
just basically kind of shitting on your own race in that because you're minimizing what those people did for the movement of the LGBTQ community. Like, so that
Yeah,
sucks. And that
definitely.
just seems like an ignorant thing that he said.
Yeah, and it's like he's trying. It seems like he's trying to get to a point. Sometimes he does eventually get to a point, but it seems like he likes the idea of trying to win back his audience,
Mhm.
even his live audience, and like he makes a point where Caitlyn Jenner was voted Woman of the Year, And he makes a point like saying women might have been furious about that for whatever the story he's telling. He's like, to make a comparison, that would be like if at the BET Awards, they were having an award for, excuse the language, N-word of the year. And he's like, and the award goes to Eminem. And he's like, that's how I would. So I'm like, I get the joke and it's funny and I see the point you're making.
Yeah, it's a pretty bad analogy, but
yeah,
I see what you're trying to say.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of things that go into that too, because Caitlyn Jenner is also a hardcore Republican and very much is voting against women's rights as a woman, which is
that's just a very strange person right there.
Yeah. You can totally not like her as a person, but you can also acknowledge that she has done, I would say, a decent amount for the trans community as far as like making that like just helping them
just in existence
like,
in a way. And
yeah, exactly. But it's like, I don't have to like her as a person though.
Right. But we still respect her and her pronouns.
Right.
And that's one of the bigger things about that kind of stuff. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah,
I'll have more opinions about it once I watch it.
Right. I would say watch it and just form your own opinion about it. Just
I probably won't watch it. That just sounds like too much anger that I don't need in my life.
That's fair.
That's
that is
fair
also fair. Protect
That's
your
fair
energy.
enough.
It's probably not worth it.
Yeah.
In the grand scheme.
Absolutely. Yeah. I still think Dave Chappelle is my favorite comedian of all time. I think that it's hard to find anyone else that, for me, in my echelon of favorite comedians, that anyone stacks up to him. But it's a bit of a whimper for this one.
Everyone misses and everyone learns. I just hope that he learns from his miss. That's the biggest thing to me.
I honestly don't think he will.
Yeah, I doubt it.
And that's the other thing. He does all this complaining, but he's rich as fuck.
Right.
So yeah.
I think a lot of it comes from ignorance, and a lot of that comes from the community and the community of color. And there's a whole big rant I can go on about that, but
there's a lot. We could talk about this forever.
Right.
Sorry, that took a while. So
no, it's fine. It was mainly me. I have a lot of opinions on that kind of stuff because I think it is important.
Well, I'll jump in and go next. Change the tone a little bit here. I was watching something not as depressing. It's a new show on Hulu. I don't know if you guys heard of it. It's called Only Murders in the Building.
Oh yeah, lighter. Yes. Definitely.
Yeah.
Very light.
It's
much lighter.
It's a super fun show. It's starring Steve Martin, Martin Short, and Selena Gomez, which is a very odd trio.
Yeah, that's really weird. One of those things does not belong.
Yeah, exactly. And you kind of they're all over like the headlines and stuff. So you're like, okay, why are these three people hanging out? And I would highly recommend it. I'm having a lot of fun with it. It's like they're releasing episodes every week. It's coming out right now. In the first season, it seems like it's going to wrap up in the next couple of weeks. So check it out before the internet spoils everything. If I don't know how popular it is, but
how many episodes is it?
I think there's 10 or 11 episodes right now. Okay. I'm sure there'll be less than 15. I feel like it's going to wrap up in the next like 2 to 3 weeks from the pacing of everything. But it's loosely about this murder that happens in this fancy, luxurious New York City apartment building. And it takes place in modern day. And these three individuals kind of hear rumors about what happened. And everybody like is kind of whispering these things. And these three individuals are big fans of true crime podcasts, like a lot of people in modern day are. And they kind of stumble upon each other in a weird situation and decide to, for whatever reason, make a podcast about trying to solve this murder because they're all loosely connected to the person. And some people have like more stakes in it. Some people are just doing it for fun. Like the older gentlemen, Steve Martin and Martin Short, they're kind of like struggling with their careers and looking for like the next big thing. Selena Gomez has a little bit more personal connection with the person who passed away. So they're all having like their own stakes. There's a little bit of a mystery with each of them. And they kind of learn more about each other and develop a friendship as they're building this podcast. So it's super fun. It's like a great mystery, whodunit kind of story. It's also really fun and kind of campy and really cheesy. I mean, Steve Martin and Martin Short are hilarious actors, and throw in Selena Gomez, and it's just like a big question mark. And they kind of really lean into that awkwardness and that weird vibe.
That's good.
Two people like have really great chemistry and are like really funny, and then Selena Gomez is just like, guys, that's corny as fuck. Like you can't say it's 2021. You can't say stuff like that anymore. It's very, very, very.
She plays
funny,
the watcher, and very much the person that's watching the show.
It gives me a lot of Scooby Doo vibes, honestly. And the fact that it's like a little bit ridiculous and and super comedic and not taking itself very seriously at all. But it's also like a modern day crime story, so it's taking it. It's a little bit serious, but the way it's telling the story is not very serious. And I really appreciate that kind of like that bouncing between tones. It's really enjoyable to watch.
Yeah, for sure.
And the episodes are like 30 to 35 minutes long on Hulu, so it's a great little show.
Nice.
Love that.
What you got, Brian?
I was going to talk about something else completely, but it's not interesting enough. What's more important is that I started watching Grey's Anatomy again. Grey's Anatomy is back on TV.
Oh, what is this, season
Nature
87?
is healing because we got Grey's Anatomy again. We got Meredith Grey going on her adventures one more time. I'm sure it's gonna be more than one more time. They always talk about how they're gonna end this show, and they're never gonna end this show.
It's a brand new season out right now.
Brand new season 18.
Holy cow!
They've released their first 2 episodes so far. It comes out every Thursday. It's on ABC, but it's also on Hulu. It comes out simultaneously, which is dope for people like me.
Oh, cool.
So I like watching Grey's Anatomy. The audience, if you don't know, I'm a huge Grey's Anatomy fan. I've watched every single season multiple times.
I did not know this, Brian.
The last season sucks. Yes, I love Grey's Anatomy.
Huge news for me. I had no idea.
It is very much a soap opera, and it is very good, and I love
it.
It is a good show. My wife Bambi actually just started watching. It's always been a dream of hers to watch the whole thing.
Oh boy!
So we just watched the first 3 episodes. I had seen it in passing when I was in high school, but it's pretty good.
Please get through the entirety of season 1 and then tell me how you feel about it, because that show takes you for a fucking ride.
I know it is a lot. My parents used to watch it when I was a kid, so I know it's like, definitely soap opera. There's like a hurricane or a tornado at some point. People die and come back to life or something.
If something bad happens in the world, it would happen in this show.
It's a lot.
I can best compare it to Game of Thrones. If Game of Thrones happened in Seattle, Washington, I'm not even joking. That's the worst part about it. Like, honestly, without spoiling anything, just think Game of Thrones when you think about that show. You will feel.
That's really funny. You're not entirely inaccurate.
Yes. So please watch the entirety of the first season, because that's what caught me. The first season, I was like, okay, I get it. Like a little soap opera, doctor show, whatever. Yeah. And then it ended, and I was like, what the fuck am I watching? What?
Wow.
And it just
Brian rewatched, I think, like the whole thing when we used to live together in Atlanta, and I got sucked into it at times every now and then.
Oscar would just be making
and I would
dinner
just be
or
like,
something, and he would
oh my god, this is the worst hospital on the planet.
It reminds me a lot of like Degrassi. It was like, is Canada really this fucking bad? Like,
yes.
Why
this does not make me want to go to Seattle.
Seattle feels like Detroit right now. But first 2 episodes came out. They do this weird thing, which makes me mad because the show is written by a woman, but they still somehow manage to be in such a male gaze sometimes. And maybe that's not the right term for that, but I just hate that a strong, independent woman that is literally the best doctor in the world also has to worry about some shit ass man that sucks, that isn't worth anything.
Right?
Saying, "Hey, you're kind of pretty," and then she's like, "Oh my god, what? Am I pretty?" It's like, ma'am, you're about to cure Parkinson's if you don't stop.
Ma'am.
Let her be great by herself. So we'll see what happens.
Right. Also, I will say the one pro to this show for this season, from what you told me, they got rid of all that COVID bullshit that every show did last season.
Wow.
Last season, they had COVID during COVID. They had the show be based in a COVID world. And it was a rough watch. One thing I personally liked watching TV was escape from reality.
The real world.
And then Shonda Rhimes said, fuck you, we gonna talk about it. That was rough.
Every show did it, and it sucks because they all did it in a terrible way where it's like they would walk into a scene wearing a mask, and then to have their dialogue, they'd take off their mask when they're talking to a person like 2 feet from them. I was like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Just don't do it. Just don't do it.
They could have taken a year off and it would have been fine. But this year, you've noticed that everything is COVID's over. Everyone's in the world. They're going to restaurants, drinking at bars, doing everything as if nothing ever happened. So at the end of every episode so far, they put this little black screen with some words on it saying that this is now a fictional world in which COVID has been defeated and no longer exists. We wanted to say that, but also COVID still exists in the real world, and it's still very serious. So don't take this as real world events.
That's cool that they have that disclaimer. That's really interesting, though.
It's very cool, but it's funny because that just means that everything prior to that point they thought would happen was in the real world. So all the terrible shit that happened in the hospital was in the real world.
Right. We're basically saying that Grey's Anatomy is canon in real life.
Canon.
Wow. And Seattle, Washington has the best doctors of all time. And you need to go. If anything happens to you, you have to go to Seattle Grace. Or it's not Seattle Grace anymore.
Right.
It's Grace Sloan Memorial.
So funny.
Yeah, if you want to get any kind of help with anything, because they've beaten cancer, they've beaten every single
they've
fucking
done miracles.
Yeah, they've done miracles at that hospital. So if I get sick, please take me to Washington. God,
copy that.
But yeah, that's what I've done.
Oh, that's
and it's been fun so far.
That's a good one.
I love that show.
That's awesome. Yeah, keep us up to date on the ridiculousness of that show.
Absolutely, you already know.
All right, that's it. That's the whole show, everyone. Remember, listeners, you can email us at thefortressof@gmail.com. Fortress spelled FOUR. You can email us any questions you have, or any feedback, or any recommendations you have or anything that we missed in our main topic, or anything that you'd like us to talk about. You can also follow us on Twitter and Instagram at the Fortress of, and also the Fortress of YouTube channel. I know it's a little slow, but there will be stuff there. I promise. It's coming. It's in the process. It's in the making. It'll happen. Yeah, don't forget to rate and review us wherever you listen to us. Tell your friends, tell your family, tell your grandma, tell your cat. Listen wherever you want. We appreciate it.
Thanks for listening, everybody. It's been fun. My name's Alex. If you want to follow me, catch me on Instagram at Alex is an alien.
Nice. You can go to follow me on Facebook.com. Maybe not. Mark Zuckerberg has been struggling recently, but I still got a page regardless. So if you want to look at it, it is ITZ, by the way. That's It's, by the way. You can also follow me on Instagram, of course. That's It's_ by the way, ITZ_ by the way. And I've been streaming on Twitch again. I've streamed, 3 times this week? It's been fun. I've been having a good time. We've had some great streams. Been playing Boyfriend Dungeon at twitch.tv/bythewayx. I also plan on playing some scary games. And if anyone knows me as a human being, I hate scary games. I'm very scared. So.
It's the spooky season.
Yes, tune in if you would like to see me shit my pants live.
What a headline.
Careful, Brian. You might draw in a different crowd for that stream.
Listen, also, onlyfans.com/bythewayx.
Happy holidays, everyone. Thanks again for listening. Thank you, Brian, for the art. Thank you, Alex, for the music. Devin, have fun with that boulder, but we love you still. Jackie, thank you for helping sound edit the podcast every week. And thank you for listening. Put a coat on. It's cold out there.
It's also pretty hot out there. Let's put some shorts on. Not the point,
though. Listeners, Ryan got a new catchphrase. It's great.
Let's go.
We're going to keep going.
New catchphrase unlocked.
All right, listeners. We'll see you here next week in another episode of The Fortress of...
You weren't supposed to say anything about it.